Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Aldas, and today I've got a really quick and kind of interesting video for you today because what I've got here, and I'm going to be asking the question, why does the 2020 Racing Point look exactly the same like the 2019 Mercedes? Now, we're going to kind of take a look at some of the side-by-side pictures, also what the technical director of Racing Point said, and just why is it almost identical to the 2019 Mercedes? Because I think it's just really interesting how this car just appeared out of nowhere, and also Twitter went kind of crazy as well. So yeah, hopefully this will be quite a quick little fun video kind of explaining why this whole situation and how this kind of came about. Now guys, don't forget, if you do enjoy my content, don't forget to drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and check out my social medias. Instagram and Twitter will be above. But let's get into it. So why does the 2020 Racing Point look almost identical to the 2019 Mercedes, which of course took Lewis Hamilton to his 6th world title? Well, let's kind of rewind back a little bit. Now, pictures basically started to emerge at the beginning of testing on Wednesday, which showed us our first glimpse of the brand new Racing Point car and the livery kind of together in their 2020 package. And very quickly, however, the new, in inverted commas, 2020 racing car had a striking resemblance to the 2019 Mercedes, especially the nose of the car. Now, as usual, Twitter then exploded and turned it into a massive meme fest, which is usually how these things go, let's be honest. And even I got a DM bang on at like 8:50 in the morning from a subscriber on Instagram, and yep, shout out to my Instagram, cheeky plug, it is in the top right, basically asking, have I seen it? What do I think of it? And at first when I looked at it, I thought, yes, of course it is the same nose as the 2019 Mercedes, and there are a few similarities, but at first I didn't really see it. But then when you actually look at the pictures, and I was actually talking to him, and I kind of said, oh, the barge boards are different, this, that, and I was completely wrong, by the way. So yeah, that guy was absolutely right. I was kind of shocked when I really looked at the pictures. So before we move on any further, let's take a look at the pictures of the brand new Racing Point car for 2020 and last year's Mercedes and compare them in a little bit of detail. How similar are they? What is all the fuss about? And have Racing Point really created a Mercedes clone for 2020? So yeah, let's take a look. So this first picture is basically dead-ons from the front of the cars, and I've kind of combined as good of an angle as I can. Now you will notice, and by the way, I am literally recording the screen, so as you can see my mouse, I'm doing it this way just to really kind of make it as simple as possible. So if you see my mouse in the top left, kind of just follow it so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the pictures of these two cars are kind of from a different angle. You can see that on the left, the Racing Point, you can see a lot of the tyre on the left picture. On the right, you can see the Mercedes, not as much tyre, so that's why the wings aren't in line, but for the most part, it is pretty in line. And I mean, when you look at it just from this, they definitely do look very, very similar. So yeah, let's take a look at the front wing and let's start looking at these similarities. So we're going to quickly go over to the Mercedes side, and again, you can kind of sort of see my mouse here. So even like this little piece right here on the end plate, you can see it on the Mercedes, and you can also see it on the Racing Point. If we move along, you can see even like this little, can you see this little slot gap in the Mercedes front wing? Let's just move along, and oh yeah, there it is in the Racing Point. So back to the Mercedes, you can see kind of 1, 2 little, I suppose, carbon fiber pieces at the bottom of the wing, and if we move over, once again, 1, 2, back to the Mercedes, you're going to get a bit of a theme of what's going on here. Even this little piece right on the end plate, it goes a little bit out and then does a little loop. And if we go over to the Racing Point, it goes out and it does a bit of a loop. And then of course there is the nose as well. That was kind of the number one thing for people. The nose is absolutely identical, and even the airbox, all the way down to the airbox, it's literally identical because it kind of goes left on that side and then right on that side. That's why the picture's kind of 50-50. So yeah, that's also quite incredible. As far as this little piece here, by the way, that is not actually part of the Racing Point car. I think that's like a little camera or thermal or something like that. And although this picture doesn't have it, the Mercedes also had on its halo this also a piece of carbon fiber here, but sometimes they take it in, sometimes they take it out. It all depends on the track. So from this picture, you can see a pretty good view of what's kind of similar on the front wing and the front nose. But now let's switch over to a different picture that will show a lot of similarities on the barge board. So yeah, let's go. So now we're going to take a look at some of the barge board elements, and again, some of the similarities between the 2020 Racing Point and the 2019 Mercedes. As you can see, on the right is the Racing Point, on the left is the Mercedes. You probably guessed that. So let's just start off really quickly, and again, this is going to be very kind of crude following my mouse. I hope you can see it in the top left, just to kind of show you the basics of why it is so very similar. So in the Mercedes, you can see this little element here that kind of goes, that begins on the body of the car, or on the chassis, I should say, and goes literally horizontally across, and then kind of smoothly, and then goes straight down, and is supported by this carbon fiber piece right here. And then, of course, you can see it's connected to the mirror, and the mirror design, and everything like that. Now, let's move on to the Racing Point car, and once again, you can see the carbon fiber piece comes off the chassis. Again, it goes horizontally across, dead straight, smoothly down, and then comes straight down as well, and is supported by this carbon fiber piece right right there, and kind of connects to the mirror very, very similarly as well. And even the suspension, now look at the mouse on the left side. You can see it comes straight across the suspension arm and then goes down. Now this is a high suspension arm. It's quite common, but yet again it is exactly the same in the Racing Point. You can see in the Mercedes it goes across and then it comes down right there. So that is a high suspension arm, and it is the same in the Racing Point. It comes across and then right down there as well. And actually, guys, even the horns are exactly the same. You can see in the Mercedes from 2019, the horns are right there, just kind of below the number. And in 2020, you can see the horns yet again on the Racing Point as well. I mean, I don't know. Well, at least the logo is different. The Mercedes logo is here. I think Racing Point just thought, yeah, we'll stick like the maple leaf logo. No one will ever notice. You know, it's clearly not the same. So yeah, clearly a lot more similarities, certainly on the top part of the bargeboard. But now let's move on to the bottom part of the bargeboard, because actually the similarities certainly continue, but there are a few little differences there and there. But yeah, let's move on to the next picture. So this picture is one that one of my subscribers sent over to me over Instagram, and it is from f1.fans page. So yeah, definitely go check him out. That's his picture. I don't want to take it, but yeah, that's from him. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I don't know if you'll be able to see his Instagram, but there you go. So yeah, let's take a look, because there are a few differences, but certainly a lot more similarities as well. So we're going to go from left to right. Again, you can see there's basically a very similar, again, a vertical piece of carbon fiber there. You can see obviously the Petronas logo. Here is the Alpine Star logo, and a few little pieces there. This is kind of a little bit different, obviously, compared to the Mercedes and the Racing Point. Mercedes have multiple elements here. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the fifth one kind of goes along a little bit. With the Racing Point, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the bottom two extend a little bit further along. But however, this piece is exactly the same. You can see it goes down and goes to the right a little bit, and there's a slot on the bottom part of it. The same in the Racing Point. It goes down, goes to the right a little bit, and there's a slot on kind of the bottom part of it. Even down to these little pieces here, you can see 1, 2, and in the Racing Point, 1, 2. And again, even down to like here, little 2 elements here, 1, 2 on the Mercedes. You can see down at the Racing Point, 1, 2. So now there are little differences, obviously, but you can see there's quite a lot of similarity. And even like to here, I don't know if you can see where my mouse is, in the top right, you can see kind of an element on the left here, and then maybe 2 or 3 elements on the right on the edge where the picture cuts out. And even here, you can see an element there, and then maybe 2 or 3 right on the edge of the bargeboard. So whilst there are differences, there are certainly a lot of similarities, even in the bargeboard. And that's all the pictures that I'm going to show you, because otherwise this is going to be a little bit too long, but I think you guys kind of get the picture. So have Racing Point really built a Mercedes clone? Well, yes. And no, it's kind of in the middle a little bit, because the car is not identical, but it does have very specific and very similar features from the 2019 Mercedes Championship winning car, the W10. Mercedes brought this specific aero package and the pictures that you have seen with this bargeboard design from Germany and ran it up until the Russian Grand Prix, after which they brought another upgrade which actually changed the bargeboard again in the following races. So you can see even when Mercedes had the championship kind of wrapped up, they were still doing a lot of development for the different tracks. Now, Racing Point's technical director was pressed about the similarities by the German magazine Auto Motorsport, and Toby Gerner posted a link to the story on his Twitter page. Now, I massively recommend you guys go follow him, because he does a bunch of amazing kind of technical stuff on there. So yeah, definitely go follow him. He's a really great journalist. Now, in his interview with the Racing Point technical director, Andy Green, he said, "We've been working in the Mercedes wind tunnel since May last year. It makes more sense to follow their concept than to build a Red Bull. All the tools and test procedures in the Mercedes tunnel are tailored to this concept. Front and rear suspension and the transmission come one-to-one from the 2019 Mercedes. We are only now starting on the new car for 2021. Now, as far as on the subject of the identical nose and the front wing combination, he said, most of all, you would rather not have a nose. The thinner it is, the easier it is to control the Y250 vortex. And the Y250 vortex is basically the vortex of air right behind the front wing, kind of in between the wheels and the middle of the car. Andy Green did also mention that Racing Point didn't simply just copy the Mercedes and stuck it on the car, because the Racing Point engineers have to actually understand how the aero works. So obviously there is a few changes to the original designs from 2019. So has it worked? Well, if you take a look at the first day of testing, and again, guys, you cannot take anything away from the times, because it's almost ridiculous to even kind of ask this question. But if you do look at the times, which are useless, I mean, you could say that they have worked because I actually said in my video, you know, Mercedes obviously finished in a 1-2, but then someone in my comments kind of hilariously put, well, actually, if you look at where Sergio Perez finished, it was more like Mercedes 1-2-3. So yeah, that definitely made me laugh. Definitely shout out to whoever commented that. Definitely had to drop that a like. So why did Racing Point use parts from the Mercedes for their 2020 car? Well, simply put, and I actually said this during their launch video, that this is a bit of a nothing year to Racing Point. They're moving over to Aston Martin in 2021, and they just need some decent results. So they basically are using Mercedes' car from last year to keep them where they are. Maybe they'll drop off a little bit because the big year for them is that brand new Aston Martin rebranding, and they are now starting to develop their 2021 car. So you don't expect too many kind of updates to their 2020 car throughout the season. They are literally putting all chips into 2021, and that is why they're basically using the old Mercedes for their new car this year. Hopefully that makes sense. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of why the Racing Point looks so much like the Mercedes, but yeah, it's definitely got a few teams angrier. There's a lot of teams that are not happy about it. Quite interesting enough, Haas are not happy about it, but Haas are the one team that use loads of parts from Ferrari, so it's quite ironic in that fashion, but there's nothing they can do because it's absolutely legal. It is last year's Mercedes. It's not like they're using this year's car, so yeah, what do you guys think of this? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Just comment in the box below because there's definitely a lot of people on Twitter that were just raving about this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think in the comments below. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy this really quick video. And if you did, don't forget to drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and check out my social medias. Instagram and Twitter will be above. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.